Halfu is a fucking icon. Like, I would say you're a multi-hyphenate and a CEO of a pharma brand, and you are an influencer. I don't know if you want to continue. We'll talk more about that. But you're a writer of 2 books already, and a Substack, and an amazing community leader, mother of 2, wife, podcaster. I mean, the list goes on. You call yourself a multi-hyphenate. I call you a badass bitch. I mean, holy shit, Hitha.
I'm about to rewrite my Instagram bio with that, just so you know.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Actually, it could go, you call me a multi-hyphenate, I call me a badass bitch. You heard it here first, friends. Wow. I'm so inspired, impressed, moved by how you navigate this life. And I love a bio and like a biography. It's part of why I love your book, We're Speaking, about Kamala Harris. You can pick it up now. I've been listening to the Audible. You narrate it beautifully.
I narrate it, yeah. So if you want to hear me ramble in your ears for like hours.
It's actually, you know what? It's not that long, and it's fucking great. I'm going to talk more about that, about some of the things I've learned about you in it in a bit. But can we go back to the beginning? Can we get like autobiographical for a second?
Of course.
Where are you from? You magical pink creature, you. For those of you just listening to the audio, Hitha is wearing like a neon pantsuit, and it's everything.
I am Democracy Barbie today. That is like the role I am playing.
You're Democracy Barbie almost every day.
I do feel that way.
Yeah.
That is the one role I don't think I will ever let go of.
Oh,
but
great.
I guess it begins.
I'm like a democracy stan. Like, it's kind of my thing.
Kind of is, though. I guess it started on July 2nd, 1984 in Syracuse, New York. I was born.
Syracuse.
So
cold. I was just there. I did a concert in Syracuse. It's really pretty.
I left when I was 2. I have no recollection.
All right, well, it is really pretty.
But like, ironically, the street my parents lived on was Princess Path when I was born.
Oh, just like our Democracy Barbie in her pink pantsuit.
I mean, the nickname for my dad was born, and I guess parts of my personality was born just from where I was born.
There you go.
I'm an only child of 2 incredible parents who, you know, my mom struggled with fertility. Both my parents did in order to have me.
Wow.
So they were very much one and done with me, which I respect. But I think in being an only child, I grew, and I am very, very close with my parents. Like, weirdly obsessed with them, only want to hang out with them.
Work with them.
I work with them. And it really started a journey together where we moved a lot for my dad's job. At the time, and even still today in pharma, it is very pale, male, and stale. And Indian men with strong accents usually couldn't advance as high as they were qualified or talented to raise because of the same old bullshit.
Wow.
That still exists today, less so, but you know, it was hard for my father to stay stagnant in a company when he's incredibly ambitious.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we moved a lot. So when I was 2, we moved to Ohio. When I was 6, we moved to Pennsylvania.
Always doing pharma jobs, your
He was
dad?
always doing pharma jobs. And
Because is he like a scientist?
he's like a genius scientist. I call him a
Wow.
triple threat of drug development because the man knows how to formulate a medicine. He knows how to scale it up to commercial scale. And he writes patents that are super defendable and live on for the entire patent life. Like, they've withstood significant challenges.
Wow.
So he's a genius.
Also, this makes sense because you're a genius. Go on.
So in growing up kind of on the go, which I think my childhood really named my old blog perfectly.
Hit that on the go.
Yeah, it made me a very adaptable, I would say almost like a chameleon growing up, because I knew when I moved to a new place, especially as I got older, in my teen years and whatnot, to sort of suss out the space and be like, okay, what's the easiest version of me, or what version of me will just sort of ease in, and reserving the real me for home with my parents and with like those lifelong friendships that I would boomerang to every time we came back to visit Pennsylvania. So it was really a wonderful, wonderful childhood. In some ways, hard too. I think we all have our bullying moments, our awkward teenage moments. I feel like I had an awkward decade from when I was 7 till I was like 19 before I learned what a hair straightener was.
Nice.
And how to apply eyeliner and fill in my eyebrows.
And like now you're like literally a beauty influencer. Like people pay you to get their clothes sold.
Listen, I have like one makeup look, and so when people are like,
look.
how do you do your makeup? I go, it is this one tutorial that I filmed years ago. Like nothing's changed.
You're
but
welcome.
Here you go. I have like a one look when it comes to glam, but fashion I have more
But can
fun
I just
with.
say that the gray hair is so gorgeous?
Thank you. This was lazy. I was sick of going to the salon every 3 weeks to get my roots done, and it was starting to hurt and like burn my head.
No way. Okay.
So I was like, this cannot be healthy. So when I was pregnant with my second son, I kind of just let it go because I was like, oh, chemicals on the scalp, probably want to avoid it. And then I was like, why don't I just keep letting it go? And then one of those like late night nursing sessions, started Googling like gray highlights and like went down a rabbit hole, found some really cool stories on Allure and whatnot of women who did it just because they wanted a fresh different highlights change. So I found this colorist that did it for a journalist in who wrote an article about it in Allure.
Wait, it's not natural?
So this is part of my grow out process.
Oh my God, the grow out.
I tracked her down. She was at Bumble and Bumble in meatpacking. And I said, hi, I read this article by this woman and you were the colorist. And could you do this for me? Because I really just want to grow it out, but I don't want to deal with like roots up to here and whatnot.
That's the big question. Like if you're dyeing your hair. Wow.
So I went in, she did like a bleach test to see how light can she do it. And she kind of did, following my growth pattern, bleached those areas, and we did charcoal to help with the grow out process.
How long ago was this?
This was in 2019. So now
you
this
went
is
gray
all
really
me.
early.
Oh yeah, that's genetics.
And your mom did also?
My dad
or
did.
Your dad did. Okay.
But I also got my dad's skin, which I got his first wrinkle in his 70s. So I'm like, I will take that.
I was looking at your skin being like, but Botox? No.
Not yet.
Oh, good for you. I just got my second thing of Botox. I'm liking it. I'm like, guys, if you're watching the video, can you see me? Am I expressive? Am I doing it? What do you think? Anyway, Whitney Tan, love her so much. Okay, back to you.
So, oh my God, where did we even leave off?
Well, we were talking about how like you had an awkward phase from the ages of 7 to 19.
Yes. Thank God for the Chi hair straightener.
Oh yeah, that was great.
That saved my Indo frizz fro.
Do you have frizz?
Yeah, my hair is naturally quite curly. Now it's
I didn't know that.
Post kids and all of that, more wavy.
Yeah.
I have not figured out how to style my hair like with its natural texture, but I'm really good at like air dry, pull it back, curl the front, and kind of.
It's really good.
This is also my one.
It's just really good. Okay, so you had, but overall, it was a great childhood.
Overall, it was a great childhood, and something that I remember so powerfully is when helping my mom run her various businesses. So she was the original entrepreneur in our family. And when we lived in Pennsylvania, she owned a travel agency, and she specifically only helped people in the States book their flights to India. So my favorite thing to do every night was after I had done my homework, taken a shower, gotten ready for bed, I would go, her home office was in the room next to my bedroom. I would go in and I would answer phones and I would take notes and I would just help her until she forced me to go to bed. And I would have stayed up almost all night to help her with that.
Wow.
But that was my first taste of entrepreneurship and for women especially, to see you can have a meaningful business and career, and you can be an incredibly present parent, and you didn't have to choose. And certainly she did. The woman barely slept, and to this day she barely sleeps. And I wish she would sleep more.
Oh, I was thinking maybe she doesn't need to sleep. I think about you and all the things you're able to accomplish, and I think, well, maybe you just don't need to sleep that much.
I take a lot of naps and Ubers.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's the secret.
Noted. But also the pleasure of working feels
Yes.
so present when I hear you talk about all of your endeavors, which I think for a lot of people would be like a little overwhelming. You know, just having a pharma job could be enough and overwhelming enough, but it seems like you enjoy working.
I do. And I will say things I started as a creative outlet became jobs or became careers in their own right based on the time I was in, not because I wanted them to, it did naturally happen. And then I've had to learn to say when this is no longer bringing me that sort of fulfillment and creative joy, how do I pivot or downshift from it to make space for the work that does just make me happy, that's purely for myself.
What's the work that makes you happy?
Me writing. Just truly writing, not for a book or not for a brand, but just publishing some musings and being like, have at it. Kind of using my Instagram captions as like a mini blog and be like, I'm just going to throw something out there. And if it gets to the people who need it, great. And if not, I no longer care because I no longer have this, I need to maintain certain analytics and engagement in order to earn brand partnerships. Instagram has become fun again for the first time in a very long time.
Do we want to talk about you having taken a break from Instagram and really pouring your writing into your Substack at this point?
Yeah, so it can start from like really 15 years ago. I started a blog called Hitha on the Go as a creative outlet because I had just started working in pharma with my father and I needed a hobby I could do from anywhere.
Yeah.
And at the beginning it was terrible. Like outfits that like look like costumes now that I look back on it, my over-decorated studio apartment.
Oh my God.
But what was actually resonating with people as I started writing was how I was packing for business trips, what I was doing in trying to maximize a trip and seeing things and exploring new places while showing up for work. A lot of packing content like went viral. This was also right when Pinterest launched. So if you had a decent, simple graphic, it would go viral very, very quickly. So that really catapulted the blog where then I pivoted. I was like, ooh, this is working and I enjoy it. So let me double down on travel and packing. And from 2012 to 2015, that was really the core focus of the blog.
Wow. That was early days of blogging.
Know.
You really got in on the ground floor right then.
And then in 2015, the day I came home from the hospital with my first son, I got an email from an editor at Clarkson Potter who said, I love your blog. Have you ever thought about writing a book? And I remember going, is this the drugs? Like, am I hallucinating this? And like Sri, like immediately Googling Clarkson Potter and then looking at our bookshelf. And he's like, do you not realize like we have 3 shelves that are just Potter books?
Wow.
Like they published Ina Garten's cookbooks and a lot of really big deal lifestyle books.
Wow.
So I said, I'll take a meeting. Like, what do I have to lose? And I had Ro in his little car seat. I was at the Le Pan Quotidien in Midtown West, just south of Central Park, meeting with this editor. And she was like, so everyone loves your blog. You're going to get an offer letter from us soon. And I'm like, huh?
Wow.
I'm like, I thought this was just a, hey, let's talk.
Wow.
And yep, got an offer letter. Didn't know much about publishing, but knew I was like, I'm an unsigned author. This is the bottom of the barrel. And immediately reached out to everyone in my network and being like, does anyone have a book agent that I can just talk to and get some thoughts with? Turns out my friend Becca was writing a book with the same publisher.
Oh, wow.
And she put me in touch with her agent who I signed with and immediately, because I fell in love with her immediately. She's to this day still my agent, dear, dear friend, and negotiated a better deal, negotiated a better timeline, and helped me write this book about packing.
Well, which did very well.
It did. It earned out its advance in less than 2 years. It's like generating a royalty, which makes me really happy. And it still sells. It was translated in German. It was translated in Italian. And it's a really great gifty book that just sales peak during the summer and during the holidays.
And so after that, how long between books, between your packing book and your Kamala Harris book, we're speaking?
Yes. How to Pack came out in 2017. And coincidentally enough, by the time that book came out, I was like, I'm really done with like blogging.
Yeah.
And I was ready I was done being travel girl, because I was like, I don't want to be packing girl for the rest of my life. I'm ready for what's next. And at the time, I kind of pivoted the blog away from just being about packing and travel to being a little bit more lifestyle. So I said, if I could help solve my readers' pain points with packing, what are some other areas in their life that I can help solve pain points for? So I started writing about productivity and time management. I interviewed friends for a series called My Best Advice that to this day I still refer to and send people those articles because they're great. Simple recipes, book reviews for books I truly loved and thought drove a lot of value. Outfits that you could actually wear, not like my original fashion blogging days where I was like, a sequin miniskirt is a great idea.
On a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday afternoon.
Right. At my pharma job.
Well, I wouldn't wear that to the pharma job. I would wear that when I was working from home from a pharma job to go to a brand event, but then be in a corner and feel super awkward and self-conscious. I feel much more at home in a hot pink power suit now.
It's a great suit. It's a great suit.
I decided to wind down the blog.
I love this about you, by the way.
Pardon?
I just love this about you. Yeah. I think maybe it might have something to do with the fact that you do have a day job, you know, like you have money coming in outside of these creative endeavors. And so it maybe allows you some flexibility to be like, this is a yes for me, this is a no for me. It's not like my bread and butter where some people are like, I have to continue this blog even though the blog is like not fulfilling me at all. And maybe the content isn't as high quality as it once was. At some point you're just like, I'm done with this and I'm moving on, and like we'll meet you at the next thing.
It's so funny because I feel like my children's conceptions and births really tie in with a lot of these career moments. So How to Pack presented itself right after Ro was born. I decided to stop blogging probably within weeks of getting pregnant with Rocky. Yeah. And I'm not sure what happened first, but it happened, and made a pretty public announcement back in September of 2018 that my focus needs to be on my pharma company. That's when I formally stepped into the CEO role, or had for a few months, but just never had announced it outside of the pharma world. Yeah. And really then focused on pharma. But then also said, still need my creative outlet. Haven't really cracked the code on Instagram yet, but let me just vibe and have fun and post random stuff. And that's when like people were responding to me, putting a picture of no makeup on in a chenille caftan with like cupcakes balanced on a saucer on like my pregnant belly.
Oh my God, amazing.
And being like, wild Friday night over here. And also using, at the time Instagram stories had just launched, writing about articles, finding articles that interested me, posting a little commentary on it. And I think I had the 10,000 followers you needed for the swipe up back in the day, and started posting that. And people were responding to it. And something about me is I love naming things. I love branding things. And I love figuring out how to convey something that seems like an esoteric idea into something that can be a series and sustainable. So that's how 5 Smart Reads started.
Amazing.
And quickly pivoted the blog-focused newsletter over to a weekly 5 Smart Reads digest. And then that took off on its own and helped me grow on Instagram. Yeah. Gave my Instagram a very clear purpose at the time, and also started earning really great content sponsorships from that. So I remember, a week or 2 weeks before I delivered Rocky, I shot and posted this incredible J. Crew campaign for Mother's Day with like Ro in Central Park. He looked so adorable. I still have that dress. It was a great one. It's a blue and white striped dress with these Loeffler Randall star sandals.
I'm really loving how much you love fashion.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I just redid my closet, and it would just made me so happy.
You just seem so happy just talking about it. It's like just a delight.
And it just is, it's part of me that has, I think, sustained from when I was a little kid and like watching my mom get dressed in these beautiful saris. When I went to India, she would bring all these gorgeous fabrics from the States and find them in India and let me design my own dresses.
Wow.
So it's never been like a career on its own. I don't think I ever wanted it to be, but
Fashion.
I do have, but I have so much fun with it.
Wait, where are your parents from in India?
They're from Hyderabad.
Where's
which is
that?
in South India.
Yeah, tell me.
South Central India. It has the best food.
Does it? I mean, doesn't all of India have the best food?
Our food is the best.
Okay, great. Got it.
Our food is the best.
Noted. I love that.
And I grew up going back almost every single summer and spending all summer there. So when I think about where home is, now obviously home is New York. I've lived here for 13 years now. I'm not leaving. I think it's so much easier to raise kids in the city than in the suburbs.
Oh my God. How?
I hate being in a car.
In a car. The car. Because you're in a car all summer because you're in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So you really know.
Yeah.
I tuned into a podcast with you while you were there and you were like, this sucks.
I love my house.
Yeah.
I love the neighborhood. I made a lot of great friends in the neighborhood. The kids have this sort of go outside and play and you're fine. And I don't need to watch you. They learned how to ride bikes. I know it's been great, but also
it's better here.
By Labor Day, I was like, and I'm ready to go back.
Yeah. But home for you is in
New York, Pennsylvania, and Hyderabad.
Hyderabad still
to this day. It's at a very young age. I don't know if my parents realized what I was doing or it was just a safer world or they were Delulu back then. But when I was like 8 years old, 10 years old, I would take an auto rickshaw, hail it myself in Telugu, tell them to take me to my other grandparents' house, spend the day there. And if someone couldn't take me back, I would hail an auto and go back.
Because they just give children that much freedom?
I don't know if my mom because she was busy the whole time. I saw her in the morning. I saw her at dinner. I didn't really see her during the middle of the day. Some of my uncles would come home for lunch and hang out with me. But other than that, I was just wandering through this really old single-family home in a time where single-family homes were being turned into apartment buildings.
Wow.
And I would read every book that my aunts and uncles owned. I would be always peeking at all the little family treasures and heirlooms and whoever was around asking questions. I begged to help the housekeepers help clean and they would yell at me.
Because you love working. You just love being of service. You just let me be productive.
Yes.
Here.
I would climb the roof. It was a flat roof. And then when my uncles caught me, they would scream at me and then I would stay up there.
Did you have cousins?
I had some, but most of them, if they were growing up in India, they were still in school. So I had some cousins who lived close by. When they got out of school, I'd be like, let's go play. And one of them actually got me to do her homework for her.
Oh.
I mean, she was smart, but I was also so bored.
Because you love to work. You just need to write.
I just need to write or climb houses.
You just need to be put to good use. You're like, I'm alive.
Truly.
Actually, we were talking about how beautiful it is that you allow yourself to express all of your many talents, because some people would just say oh, so what if I'm a dancer? I could just I used to do that in high school or I used to do that in college, but I don't have to dance professionally. And you're like, no, yes, I do. I need to dance professionally. And I also need to write books and talk about fashion. And if you guys don't get it, well, and somehow we do.
I mean,
we find the through line. You seem to trust your audience enough to find the through line to get it that I'm really good at a lot of stuff.
But I also think, I hope I champion others to reconnect with the things they loved when they were younger that we tell ourselves we no longer have time for these things. We no longer have space for these things. And I say, I categorically reject that. Let me audit your calendar and see where we can find time for you to take a dance class or maybe do a forward space workout instead of your usual run. There are ways to bring back the things that you love into your life again. And if they bring you joy, that is reason enough to make them a part of your life. And it's funny you say this, of you do a lot of things. When I was 14 years old, I was like dead set on becoming a pop star.
I mean,
I wanted to be like an Indian Britney Spears.
I'm here for it.
And I would actually tell my parents, like, you're not doing enough for my performing career. And why don't I have a manager? And why don't I have an agent?
I did the same thing.
I mean,
and here we are today.
And it was funny. My dad was very sweet. And I was just like singing while cooking dinner one night. He's like, I really didn't invest. I really should have. You're very good at this.
Oh my God.
And now I'm like, no, thank God you didn't, because look at what happened.
Oh, to Britney.
To a lot of them.
Oh, so
and
many.
Especially after watching the Demi Child Star docuseries, I was like, you made the best decision. So thank you.
I know my parents also were like, you were going to have a childhood. Like, I don't care. Yeah. You wanted to be famous. Like, that's not what we're doing here. We're doing a childhood.
Yeah. This is also when people are like, let's go do something. I'm like, let's do karaoke.
Yes. Okay. So you sing also?
I like to sing.
I love that.
I like to sing.
Okay.
I have a few songs that I can absolutely slay.
Great. Yes. And your dad seems to be a fan.
Thank God. But then my kids tell me I suck. And
I know. So do mine.
They're savage.
And I'm like a professional singer. Like, people pay money to hear me sing, and my kids are like, stop.
That's so
what is that?
Mean.
So mean. Why are you being so mean to me? But I love that you allow yourself to be not childish, but childlike in your enthusiasm for life. And then there also is this like very responsible part of you that is so structured and so disciplined, and almost like so that you like discipline your life so that you can have the most fun you possibly can, it seems.
I'm moving away from like discipline and more focused on finding flow in the things I have to do, so that allows for flow in the things I want to do. And I actually posted on Instagram this morning about the only thing that should be routine in your mornings is that you give yourself exactly what you need. So some mornings that's going to be that meditation, journaling, workout before the kids are up. And some days that's your kid coming into your room at 3 a.m. and you sleep until the absolute last minute, because you both need that rest and you both need that time together. And some days it's you have jet lag and you're up at a ridiculous hour, so you finish a book cover to cover. Yeah. And that's what you need. So I really am cognizant that you need to check in with yourself often, and you need to find moments of silence in your life so you can actually hear yourself and hear what you need, versus imposing what the world will tell you is productive, all the shoulds in your life that then you shit on yourself with, and be really at hostage to other people's agendas versus what you actually want to do, what you need to do, and what lights you up.
That experience of being hostage to other people's agenda feels so strong on social media, because like you have said in the past, I can just consume other people's lives and scroll for hours. And I'm wondering what your new relationship is to social media and why. Because you were just telling us about your blog and like how social media really did a lot for you in your life. Yeah.
I'm immensely grateful for it. And as the algorithms change, as the features roll out, it's engineered to hijack your attention. And in hijacking your attention, it completely affects your neurochemicals. Like, these are programmed to be extremely addictive, that from a neurochemistry perspective will light up the parts of your brain that you see in people who do drugs and who are clinically diagnosed as addicts. But it's doing it to all of us at some scale, which that is enough for me now to be like, I need to, and having taken a really long break, I took a month break from Instagram. I took a 3 months break from Substack because I don't even know what I want to write anymore.
Good for you.
And in doing that, I now have no problem deleting Instagram whenever it starts to make me feel bad about myself. I'm just like, done. We don't need this.
And is it not a revenue stream for you anymore?
No longer. After I wrapped up my last series of sponsored posts, I told my manager I'm taking a break. And she's a dear friend now as well, who's incredibly supportive. And she goes, if you choose to come back to this, or if you want to come back at it differently, I'm always here for you.
Yeah.
But I also am happy you're taking care of yourself, which is rare. Because if I were at a big agency or a bigger organization, I would have been dropped. And that also would have been okay if my contract was at an end.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to work with incredible people who
love you.
Like we love each other. There's so much deep respect and affection for one another, and we care more about each other's health than each other's financial impact.
Yeah, that's amazing. Was it impacting you?
Mentally, immensely.
Well, you know that I can relate. We texted about this.
Yeah.
So if we want to, if you're open to share, I would be so grateful.
Yeah, I mean,
because you're not the only one. We can't be the only two.
No.
Johan's here. He's our engineer. He's nodding his head.
But this is a reason I will never leave social media, and I will never stop being vulnerable as I feel safe to.
Great.
Online.
Love that. Because
when I was open about my bipolar 2 diagnosis, and checking in and saying, I'm having some really hard moments right now, and I'm kind of lost at the moment, and I just want to share this in case anyone feels the same. Because that's not ever what is talked about or shared on social media. It still is very much a highlight reel or perfectly choreographed or curated or has feigned authenticity. It's rarely actually authentic.
I need everyone to hear that.
Yeah.
I know, I don't know why I thought it was authentic for so long. Like I came on mic here and I was just like, I want to get to know all these influencers because like I have a feeling it's not real and it's all commercials essentially. And I mean, I've met amazing people who are content creators who are making commercials of their lives. And I just in the name of authenticity,
it doesn't work for me. Like, and that's just, it's a good for you, not for me, Amy's Poehler school of thought. It is it was an impactful business. For the past 4 years, I haven't paid myself at the pharma company as we really maintain cash flow and streamline expenses.
Beautiful.
So for many years, it was the only income I was bringing in.
I had no idea. Wow.
My household in that manner. And for a while, I could handle both until I couldn't. And I remember I was at the Mom 2 Summit in Nashville earlier this year with a lot of our mutual friends. And I remember Leah just looking at me at one point and she goes, "You're not okay." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." She goes, "Do you want to talk about it?" And I go, "Not right now."
Wow. The overwhelm hit you?
Mm-hmm. I had spent a full day of the conference not being present, not chatting or being in community with anyone. I was finishing editing an entire month's worth of content for a brand partnership. I was on 4 conference calls for work, waking up super early to do some calls with our European partner and some calls with our team in India. I was spent.
You also have 2 children and a husband that you love.
Yeah, what was supposed to be this really fun girls trip and a chance to actually get away and recharge a bit became I was either capturing content or I was creating and editing content or I was full on working on my work job, had to prepare for 2 panels.
Wow.
And was supposed to be getting sleep and rest and a break from being a wife and mom, physically. So I remember coming back and I was like, I'm wiped. And that was my last wave of content for a very big dream partnership I had. And when we had a scheduled check-in of, how to work together in the future, I was like, I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
And I already put that on social media to keep myself accountable that like I'm off for a while.
I saw that post and I
Mhm.
loved it, and I told you how much I loved it and how important it was that
Mhm.
that a thought leader in the space said essentially put your fork in the ground, flag in the ground, I don't know, basically said like, I count more than any one of you. I count for me.
Yeah.
I matter to me.
Hey, it was scary though.
It was
scary.
to walk away from. It's a job.
It's also how I defined myself for such a long time. And but when I stopped defining
the
myself,
Indian Britney Spears. But like in that, but in this
Yeah.
world right now in 2024,
Yeah.
it's like that is pop stardom of
It is.
a sort, you know, to be, you know, an influencer, to have influence, to have these brand deals, you know, it's like, it's a big deal.
It
You
is.
accomplished a lot.
And it took me a while to, and I'm still working on it, dissociating my self-worth from the net worth of a very profitable and successful business that I had built by being myself and quite by accident.
Wow.
I'm still working on it. Like, I'm not there yet. Sometimes I still check my insights and I'm like, how is this doing? And I was like, we need to delete that if that's what we're looking at, not how do I engage with some of these incredible comments and go deeper in some conversations, because that's what makes me happy. The numbers I'm still trying to learn are irrelevant when it comes to defining my contentment and my version of success.
Yeah. And you love writing.
I love writing.
It freed up, you know, at some point it's like we have to be mindful of where we're putting our creativity, because it'll just pour into whatever vessel we offer it.
I love how you said that, because I lost my trust in myself in that sort of burnout, peak burnout from content creation. And I forgot that I had created multiple things that made an impact in people's lives. Like, forget the money, forget the accolades and whatnot. The fact that people took the time to read what I was creating and took the time to message me or email me and tell them how it impacted them, that's true impact and that's true influence. And that is why I do what I do.
Right.
I kind of got caught up in the hype and in the thinking it was about the numbers and thinking about it was the money and thinking it was about securing these big name deals. And
everyone does. Yeah. Everyone does. Everyone who can does.
And it reminded me, I can create something brand new. I've done it before and I will do it again. It took me a while to be trusting in myself to know I would do it again.
And doing it again is this Substack right now?
Right now it's a Substack.
For now.
We'll see what happens next.
And I love that it's behind a paywall, because it offers, you know, they say in this like meditation tradition that I studied, just that like we need valid inquiry, which is like, if someone is paying the ticket to watch you sing, the voice really opens up to that. Like, the nervous system can really soften. If we pay the, you know, subscription fee for the writing flows. And I there is something about Instagram, and I know that it was lucrative for you, but for the most part, it's free content. And it's like, so you're getting all of this free, and what is the return? That's a recipe for burnout. There's got to be reciprocity, right?
It's also a recipe for destroying your self-worth.
Oh. On Instagram?
On anywhere.
Where you're just like giving. And like there's nothing, no one, that's how I feel. It's like,
or you become a one-woman commercial and advertising machine.
Right.
Or as you grow and you hire a team, then other people's livelihoods are dependent on you.
Yeah.
For your life. That as people get to know you and build this parasocial relationship with you, they want more.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is not sustainable for me. And I do think at a societal level, we're going to see probably it hit peak and come to a crash with creator burnout, with the kids who grew up as the children of influencers coming into their own adolescence and adulthood and sharing their stories in how kids are valuing themselves. You know, Ro really wants to have a YouTube channel and create content. He's an incredibly creative kid. And he's so my child. I love this for him, that he loves to create. And I am so protective over him making it for consumption, and that he seems at a very young age going, well, how many subscribers do you think I would need? Or how many this? And I'm trying to teach him to focus on the art.
Yeah.
And I would rather he film and edit 5 videos he's super proud of before we talk about sharing it anywhere.
Yes.
And that has been a tricky balance, but that's why I see how much of what I was doing, even though he was tangentially part of it or aware of it, has he internalized.
Right, yeah. Or he saw that you were happy when your thing was doing well, you know?
But then he also saw me hit rock bottom, and he's like, why is mommy crying all the time?
Buddy.
I know.
Because mommy's human.
Mommy is human.
You know, I really do appreciate that, like, you are a badass bitch, like TM, and you're human.
I'm like a marshmallow.
Oh, yeah?
I totally am. Or
delicious?
Maybe I'm like a Malamar, which I have this hard chocolate shell that seems impenetrable, but inside I'm just goo.
You're just a little goo.
I mean, I'm a Cancer sun.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's very sensitive.
And I'm a Capricorn rising, which is like ambitious, boss-ass bitch energy. Yeah. So, and then I'm a Virgo moon, which means I'm just neurotic as hell.
I'm a Virgo, and neurotic as hell feels right. Yeah.
That's why we get along.
You think?
Many reasons, but I feel like we're on
the neurosis?
They were on an astrological wavelength.
And the ambition and the like marshmallow. Like, I think I don't know if I seem like I have it all together on the outside, because I don't. But you're like, no, it doesn't.
No one does.
But I never try to seem like I have it all together. It's just not. It's not ever. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was a little girl in the 90s. So I knew,
and we had no proper. We were just prescribing kids on meds and not thinking about.
I wasn't on meds, but
that's good.
But mostly they were little boys. So like I knew like very early on that like I just think differently than other people.
I mean, I felt that way my whole life.
That you think differently than other people? You were telling me about your bipolar 2 diagnosis, that all of a sudden in adulthood you were like, oh my God.
This is why. What I thought was periods of immense focus and productivity.
Yes.
And then depression or like burnout. And so I thought I had ADHD plus anxiety. And it wasn't until I saw my perinatal psych after my hysterectomy, who did a much more comprehensive family intake of talking about my extended family, cousins and uncles and aunts and grandparents. You know, it's not uncommon in India, especially among the subcaste of Brahmins that my mom was born into, where you have first cousins marrying each other for generations, which puts you at a higher risk of developing a mental health disorder.
No.
Yeah, you're genetically predisposed to it. So when she told me I had bipolar 2, she believed I had bipolar 2. At first I was like, bipolar, what?
Right.
And she goes, no, bipolar 2 is a bit different. And you have to remember those periods of focus burnout that you talk about. It's mini manic, mini depressive episodes.
Wow.
And I was like, huh, well then. And I don't know if you felt this way.
I also have those experiences, and I'm like, oh, that's my ADHD, or I'm, it's like all the adrenaline because I'm a performer.
Yeah. And my biggest concern, worry, going on a medication that was different than any of the medications I had been on, was that my creative spark would somehow be extinguished.
I know, that's
so scary. It is so scary because you're like, in this insane way that I have been living for 40 years, I've also created some incredible things. And is this going to dull or diminish how I think and how I work and this. And she said, you will think and create better because you are no longer at the whims of your unbalanced neurochemistry.
Wow.
I was like, okay, then.
Last year when we were together and really like it was the first time we had ever really connected, you said like, it's been such a good year because I'm finally level-headed. And is that true that like your creativity still kept going? Yeah.
I had to give myself some grace to relearn
how to navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I knew how to ride those manic depressive waves. So to not have them anymore, I was like, it was almost more unsettling being on steady ground than being on these choppy mental health waters.
Wow. Wow. I can so relate. I've spoken so candidly about being depressed and being anxious and having ADHD. And it was a while ago that right in the beginning of the pandemic, and my friends were moving and I was so depressed. Oh my God. I was so scared and depressed. It was, and someone like a therapist was like, maybe you have bipolar too. And I like hung up the phone and ran away. Never spoke to her again. It wasn't until you said to me last year, like that cycle of productivity and burnout, that I was like, maybe she was right. So I've been really considering it, but I haven't had a formal diagnosis. And I think a lot of people who are wildly creative, you know, it's like I have a friend who says magic cost extra. I do think that people who are wildly creative and neurodivergent deal with these different brain chemistry issues.
Yeah. You know how to operate in your own chaos. Like it almost seems like if you don't get the diagnosis or get the intervention, like it's controllable and it's manageable.
Well, it's what you know.
Because it's what you know. It's been your default for so long.
Yeah.
You've created ways and you've learned how to manage it.
Yeah.
Versus how to live with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I find this relationship to Instagram that you're now creating to be very sober, like very level-headed, very adult, very healthy.
Yes.
Because the dopamine hit that we get constantly from this app what can prop up a brain that's just not balanced. And now that you have this neurochemistry that's like coming at the app with like more evenness, you're like, actually, no thanks.
Yeah, exactly. I can regulate my relationship with these highly addictive apps in a much better way. And it also means it's so easy for me to just be like, I'm going to X out.
Wow.
I'm going to delete this app. It's making me feel like shit.
Wow. Oh my God. That's so exciting. I want that.
That's been, hard fought. And I still fall into traps where I'm like, oh my God, look at what all these people are doing. I'm a failure. I'm like, no, I'm not.
You're so not. You are the Indian Britney Spears. Like, look at you. Guys, do you see her? Are you watching on YouTube or are you listening? She's wearing a hot pink suit. She is so hot. It's so good.
Well, I can't wait for us to go to karaoke because then you'll just see a whole other side of me that is.
Are you saying like I'm a slave for you?
I actually have been working on it. I haven't sung it in public yet. Taylor Swift's I Could Do It With a Broken Heart.
Oh, great. Can't wait for the debut.
Health girlies.
Yes.
And moms.
Yes. I love it so much. Okay, so what have you been writing about on your Substack? What can we look forward to now that we're following you there? We'll follow you on Instagram also. Duh. Because I also know that you'll pop in every now and then, but it won't be your full time.
No, and it also won't be branded. So it'll just be like, I genuinely have this to share.
Great.
I hope you enjoy it. And it's still like really long captions and stuff like that. I'm trying to help re-engineer with my content people's typical behavior now of just swipe, 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 swipe. I'm like, I want you to stay. I want you to read. I want you to reflect. And I want you to join the conversation if you feel compelled to do so or you feel safe to do so. And I hope I make people feel safe.
Beautiful.
in that comments area. But I actually just hit schedule on a longer piece on redefining my hyphens and actually going into a great amount of detail about, as much as I can on the pharma job, like what really goes into running a pharma company.
Wow.
Letting go of the content creator and my previous chapter as a early stage angel investor.
Yes.
And why I closed that chapter, how I'm not the friend I want to be right now, and making peace with that versus beating myself up about it.
Your friends love you so much.
I'm very lucky.
Wow. Your friendships are so deep. Yeah.
But I feel like a shit friend sometimes where I'm like, I really need to text this person back. It's been months.
Yeah.
And I feel like an asshole.
No, they just really respect you. I just want you to know that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. They love you so much. Oh my gosh. Like Leah.
She's the best.
And Neha. Oh my God. They love
just
you
that whole
so
crew,
much.
like very, very obsessed. I remember when I was in my really low moment in May, Leo was like, I was one day away from showing up on your doorstep with pizza because I was so worried about you.
She's great.
And she was like texting my husband and he's like, no, she's in the, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm still in bed and like wallowing when I don't have to be with the kids. He goes, she's not ready.
Leah Wiseman-Fink did a whole episode here on Community, and Girlfriend really gets it.
She doesn't just walk the walk. She dances the walk.
I know. She's very special. And you guys have a really special bond. I will read that that essay about you not being the friend you want to be. But I will also say maybe you don't recognize that you are just killing it in that area too.
I think I wrote in this, like, I am absurdly hard on myself. And I think it's part trauma recovery from being the child of Indian immigrants.
Yeah, being a first generation American is real.
But my parents also say, we've never really put this pressure on you. You put a lot of pressure on yourself and you need to stop. When my parents have had to tell me, like, you need to take a break. I can't think of any other Indian parents that have ever told their kids, like, you need to take a break.
I think also, just like your dad, and just like we said, like, when you are a genius and like when you have genius, when you have gifts flowing through you, asking to be made manifest, it can be a very intense experience. And like mental health aside, it's like there is creativity pouring out of you, and sometimes it's hard to keep up. Like on a body level, you're like, I gotta sleep, babe. Like, thank you for the ideas, but like it's time to go to sleep.
I know. And I've still working on this part, which is trusting my brain that it will boomerang back these percolating ideas when they're ready to be acted on.
Yes, it absolutely will.
But
it always
scary. I'm still working on it. It's scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
Like that and snakes and failure.
Mostly failure.
Also bugs.
Yeah. I don't know how you did it in Pennsylvania.
I mean, I stayed inside of it. I had this great like mosquito repellent device like I put on my patio that like actually kept them away.
Oh, great.
Which is amazing.
Oh, good.
But
okay. That's why you like the city. For one of many reasons.
I mean, I guess I'll take rats over.
It's so gross, guys. The subway. Okay, so we're going to follow you at Hit the Polypoo on Instagram.
Yes.
We're going to subscribe to your Substack,
which is just Hitha.
It's just Hitha?
Yeah, I changed it. I like had a bunch of weird names for it, and I'm like, you know what? No more 5 Smart Reads. No more Hitha's thing. It's just my name.
She's just getting real with us, guys. She's getting bare bones. She's just giving us her heart for real, for real.
But I did like make a new logo and some new branding on Canva.
Because
that's me.
Because that's you. Because you like pretty things.
I do like pretty things.
You're good at pretty things. And like, what can we expect looking forward? Like, what are you excited about in this new chapter of simplicity, of clarity, of health, of strength and vitality?
I am excited to get our product filed with the FDA whenever that happens, and to be able to take a long technical professional break.
Great.
And just be like, I'm a chill for now.
Good.
I see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's still a small speck, but it's there.
And now you have a little more in you to like really bring this baby home.
Yeah. So that's my biggest professional priority right now.
Beautiful.
And I would say as a creative, it's to just play again and to just have fun. And to also know that creative battery needs to be recharged. So to stop being so focused on consumption or creation and making space for digestion.
Amazing.
On that. And then personally, I don't know how much time any of us have with our parents. So it's hanging out with my parents as much as I possibly can because they're the best.
I love that you started this podcast with that too, by the way.
I love them so much.
You
and
do.
I really like them. Right? And that's like what I want for my kids. I want them to say, I really love my mom and I really like her. Like she's just fun. My parents are fun to hang out with.
Wow.
And I know part of that comes with the foundation we build now and making sure we make time for fun and play as a whole family. So our weekends, I'm very, very protective. I very rarely say yes to weekend plans because that group of 3 and me are like my biggest priority.
What do you guys do on the weekend?
I mean, we have a little overscheduled moment these days, but
Like
the kids do swim in the morning on Saturdays. We've started doing these like Hindu religious cultural classes through the Chinmaya mission called Balvihar.
Wow.
And like parents have to attend too. So like we're all learning this together. My mom suggested it and she was right, as she is about everything, that my kids' cultural education is not going to be mine. They're not spending every summer in India, surrounded by families, immersed in Telugu language, like all of that. And I have to be more intentional if I want them to have a connection with their culture. Yeah. And she goes, if you don't want them to, that's fine. But I think you do. And I'm like, no, you're right.
Your husband's also Indian?
Yes.
But from a different part of India?
He's from the state further south to
Not
ours.
as good food.
It's good food.
Okay. Oh, really?
It is good food.
Because like Southern Indian food is better than the rest?
I think so. But like we all got our dosas and our idlis and vada. I just think ours is better seasoned.
Okay.
But that's just me.
do you cook Indian food at home?
I'm not as good about cooking Indian food. I'm much better at cooking like other things. I
don't cook like Jewish food, Israeli food, Persian food. That's all the food that I like grew up with. I don't cook any of that. I'm like burgers.
I know.
I'm so American. It's like a really weird, it's a weird world where when you're a first generation American, because I never felt American, but now I'm like, I speak English to my, my kids. I wasn't spoken to in English.
No, neither was I.
Yeah,
I was spoken to in Telugu exclusively.
Exactly.
And now my kids just know the bad words.
Well, that's fun.
At least they have that. But I cook Italian food.
Oh, there you go.
I cook excellent Italian food.
I love that.
Like I make a mean risotto.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, when you do something, you do it right.
I know, but like I need to learn how to make a proper like babu. I need to learn how to make idlis and dosa and all that because my kids love that. And if my parents aren't there, they're not getting it.
Exactly.
So.
Well, if you ever want to invite me over for any of that,
yes, come over for spaghetti.
Oh, no, I was thinking about the Indian food. I don't want your spaghetti. Come on.
It's homemade. We make homemade spaghetti every Sunday night.
Oh, that's
we do that as a family
Oh,
too.
that's nice.
So
do you make the sauce?
Yeah. Like, and actually.
Like you're Italian?
Yes.
I love that for you.
Like you temper the oil with like some herbs and whole garlic and all this. And then you remove the stuff you don't need. And then you like use it, crush some tomatoes into it.
Badass bitch, guys.
Like, I want to be
creative.
Nona.
She's a creative.
Or a godmother. Like
what?
A mafia don.
You're just like amazing. Like there's nothing you can't do. And also when you do it, it's with so much joy. It's like, wow. All right, guys, that's Hit the Palapu for you on Mom Curious. And I'm Daniella Rabbani, and it's been a joy. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. Mwah. Love you.
Love you. That was so fun.
Thank you, as always, for listening to the Mom Curious podcast. My name is Daniella Rabbani. I am your host, and I would love to continue this conversation at Daniella Rabbani on Instagram. And if you'd be so kind to rate and review, share this podcast, I would be just really grateful. Catch you next time, every Tuesday on the Mom Curious podcast, produced by Hoff Studios. You can find them at Hoff Studios on Instagram as well. All right, have a great day.